legislation and a protector of rural America. Recognize him for 3 minutes.
Gentleman from Virginia is recognized for 3 minutes.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. I'd first like to thank Chairman Upton and Whitfield for their support for this effort, and to Representative Noem for her leadership and hard work on this legislation. Mr. Chairman, I rise today in strong support of the Farm Dust Regulation Prevention Act. This is a bipartisan bill that I am proud to have sponsored along with Representatives Noem, Boswell, Kissel, in order to provide greater economic certainty to our rural communities in Central Virginia and Southside Virginia and across this country. Since January, this House has been laser focused on advancing policies that will remove the federal government as a barrier to job creation and steer us on a course toward economic recovery, giving our job creators the opportunity to hire and the confidence to expand. It is with this in mind that we introduced this legislation. In Virginia's 5th District, my district, we have a proud heritage in agriculture, manufacturing, Main Street businesses that create jobs and have created jobs for thousands of Virginians. And as I travel across Virginia's rural 5th District, I am constantly reminded by my constituents of how government regulations threaten their businesses and their very way of life. This is why the EPA's national standard for fugitive dust is so troubling to the people that I represent. It is yet another example of the vast expansion of the federal government, and it is yet another example of the uncertainty that Washington continues to impose upon our job creators and our rural communities. The effects of federal government overreach are both very real and very tangible in the 5th District and across this country. This past year, I spoke with a small business owner in Southside Virginia who was warned by a regulator about the amount of dust coming from his property. And he was told to take active measures to decrease the dust coming from the dirt road leading in to his sawmill. This is the kind of unnecessary regulation that prevents businesses and farmers from focusing on the needs of their customers. Where I'm from, dust is not a nuisance. Rather, it is a necessary byproduct of the hard work the farmers and businesses in my rural district perform every day. And these farmers and businesses should not suffer loss in production because of overbearing federal regulations. These are the people who are struggling to survive, to grow, and to create jobs during this stalled economic recovery. And these are the people who cannot afford more costly and burdensome regulations handed down by Washington. While I applaud the EPA's apparent statement that it does not intend to propose a more stringent standard for coarse particulate matter at this time, I remain concerned about the uncertainty of current and future rulemaking. This bill addresses that uncertainty by providing clarity and stability for our job creators and by replacing the current federal standard for naturally occurring dust in rural America. With unemployment rates nearing 20% in some parts of my district, we simply can't afford to perpetuate unnecessary regulations and unnecessary uncertainty for the farmers and businesses in our rural communities. I strongly urge my colleagues to support this legislation so that we may assure our farmers and businesses that naturally occurring dust will not be subject to regulations by an ever-expanding federal government. I thank the chair, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back his time.